And Chris, the Ford teams and the company had such high hopes for their new body design this year. It is a very racy looking race car. I think they'll win races this year. Maybe they need a little more time to get them all sorted out.
Well, Bill Elliott, of course, the tough luck he had was a big blow to the Ford people.
And Davey Allison.
Here's Mike Joy.
Ken, there's one wild card left here, and it's Terry Labonte in the Junior Johnson car, that brand new Ford that went the distance in the 125-mile qualifier on Thursday. Crew chief Tim Brewer, when I asked him if they had to stop for gas, he just smiled. They were last in at lap 144. They'd have to run 56 laps from here. I don't think they can do it, at least not without NASCAR tearing that whole car apart to look for an extra gas tank, but they may try it.
Well, Mike, he's doing drafting right now. He's in a thick pack of cars, but he's running in a draft, and that's the easiest way to conserve fuel at 190 miles an hour, is to stay as close to someone else as you can. And occasionally, when you're in a position like that, Ken, you can actually back off of the gas a little bit as you go down the backstretch and head into the turn. You can ease off of it a little bit and still stay up there with the car in front of you, which, of course, is burning less fuel. But I agree with Mike. I don't think he can go that 55 laps. He went 50 on Thursday.
Be very, very difficult. Richard Petty has only finished one Daytona 500 since his 1981 triumph. That was in '87. He finished third. He's still out here running very well at the present time, but the standings on car number 43 are that he is a lap down. He is being shown 18th, but old 43 still carrying its colors in this race.
Well, if he had not had that unscheduled pit stop that we saw when they changed all 4 tires on his Pontiac, then he would still be on the lead lap and right in the thick of it.
He was solidly in the top 10 earlier in the day.
There's the status of Richard Petty in this drought period he has sustained at Daytona.
During the last 7 years, from 82 to 88, hasn't been very good for him, excepting, of course, 87.
Last year, Richard Petty's car dropped out of more races than it finished. He dropped out of 15 of 29 events.
Well, I'll tell you, I think this carbon monoxide story is bigger than has been talked about, and I'm glad we had an opportunity to bring it forward today. I think there are a lot of drivers, as they go on, your lungs aren't quite the same as when you're young, and it may have a very serious reading for these drivers.
Well, personally, I'm glad to see that the subject is being addressed, because everything that's been done to the race cars over the years to make them safer, as far as if they get in a wreck or to make them faster, goes against the race driver. They're taking, to make it go faster, they want the aerodynamics on the outside, as slick as they can. They don't want air to get inside the race car, so it's not getting very much fresh air inside. They're building the cars lower to the ground. The heat that comes from the exhaust is about 1,400 degrees, and there's not much room for it to escape, and it doesn't have that fresh air in there to mix with it, so the driver's in a very tough position in there now.
I think Petty looks better today on the track than he's looked in a long time, but it may be because of that mask and that filtered air he's breathing.
Well, here he is right behind Larry Pearson. Seems great to say Pearson and Petty once again, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Seems like 76, and they had that great scramble down here and decided the race in favor of David Pearson that day. We're going to be running a tad late on this today as we've had so many caution periods. It's a great afternoon of sports on CBS with this great traditional classic. See some 150,000 plus that have gathered here at Daytona, all finding their own menu of one sort or another. And we'll be back with more of the action, watching Ken Schrader lead over Dale Earnhardt in second. After 427 miles, lead changes still stay at 27, and the average speed is 143 miles per hour. That compares to the 85 record established by Neil Bonnet at around 179 miles per hour. And here you see the drivers now out of the Great American Race, led by Neil Bonnet, the Wood Brothers car that misfortune very early on with a dramatic fire. A lot of crashes today. Still waiting to hear more on Phil Barkdahl's condition after he had 3 or 4 lazy spins and then an easy roll, but they took him off to have a checkup immediately thereafter. We're checking the interval now. You just saw the leaders go by, and that's the second group being led by Phil Parsons in 4th place, number 55. Number 5, Bodine in 5th, Alan Kulwicki in 6th, Darrell Waltrip in 7th, Sterling Marlin in 8th. Dave Despain.
Recall that Dale Earnhardt was one of the pre-race favorites, reported a flutter in the motor and fell back deep into the field. The crew said they wanted to get him some help. They weren't able to, yet he came right back to the front, and he's run there all day. Let's ask Kirk Shelmerdine. Were you able to give Dale any help to speak of?
Not really that I can see. He's running a little better than he was at the first of the race, but I think that's mostly from the draft. He pulls out of the draft in the clean air, and it won't run as well as behind.
The last bit of help he's going to need is some fuel. When will you bring him in?
Probably pretty close to the end.
I'll bet it'll be close to the end, and I'll bet it'll be exciting. A game of cat and mouse shaping up on pit road.
Boy, look at Ken Schrader thread the needle on the backstretch. Greg Sachs down on the inside. Ricky Rudd on the outside. Earnhardt follows him right through. Now, those front two cars, Ken Schrader and Dale Earnhardt, have broken away from Rick Mast. He has lost their draft and has dropped back.
5 drivers have won the Daytona 500 from the pole. Fireball Roberts, 62. Petty in 66. Buddy Baker in that tremendous run of 1980. Cale did it in 1984 and Bill Elliott twice in 85 and 87. The question is, can this young man do it? Schrader in his 5th 500. Mike Joy is with Ann Schrader right now.
Ken, when Ken Schrader won the Talladega 500 on CBS last July, Ann Schrader was up in the tower, didn't get to go to victory lane. So she turned down a seat in our CBS suite to watch this race from pit road. You're a registered nurse. Have you taken your own pulse here lately, watching him go around in the lead?
Well, no, Mike, everything's been really good today. It's real calm, and the car's done well, the guys have done well, and Kenny's done a really good job driving, so everybody's calm here.
You don't look like you get the least bit nervous watching him whiz around here at 190 miles an hour.
I don't. He'll tell you that this is the safest place to be.
That's victory lane. That and victory lane.
That's true. That's true. We just saw earlier some poor pit crew member on Sunoco's car got hurt, and that's the dangerous place.
They're hoping to get to victory lane today.
Staying out in front, Schrader. 4 previous performances, 11th, 33rd, then in 87 it turned around. He had a 7th place finish, and in 88 he was 6th.
Ann Schrader, who we just saw, is very involved with the Winston Cup Racing Wives Auxiliary. She's the treasurer of it and works very hard towards trying to raise money, and they do a lot of good things in the sport, and most of the money that is used for injured drivers or injured family members or things like that.
Indeed we do. We miss you, Bobby. Wish you were here today. Hope you're feeling well, Bobby Allison in Hueytown. Schrader in first, in second spot Dale Earnhardt, and those two have drawn away just a bit from Rick Mast. The car number 15 car expired just moments ago and went back to the garage area. Brett Bodine leaving the racetrack for the Wedmore team.
Since then, Ken, he has come back out onto pit road, and so they're working on the car out on pit road, and he drove it back out there. He coached it all the way around the racetrack into the garage area. Evidently, he got it fired then and has brought it back out on pit road.
Think he ran it a little lean?
I don't know. He could have. He should have been able to go another 10 or so laps as far as fuel is concerned, and we will remind the fans that they have another pit stop coming up before this race is over.
This is a deja vu, if you remember Earnhardt and another Hendrick driver, Jeff Bodine, a few years ago, and those late race fuel stops, it came down to a dramatic finish.
And Bodine won it. 1986, Mark Martin has been x-rayed and released. He's okay. Tommy Deese from Sterling Marlin's crew has a fractured leg and has been taken to the Halifax Hospital here in Daytona. He was injured on the road. Here's Ricky Rudd, number 26, following Greg Sachs. Well back, 19th position, a lap down.
And you can see the faster cars going by on the inside, Phil Parsons and the car number 5 of Jeff Bodine. And you saw Alan Kulwicki wiggle a little bit as he went by the Crisco car of Greg Sachs, who was running directly in front of Ricky Rudd.